When I set the HSC English exam, I learned what works and what doesn't through trial and error. Now, watching other students prepare for their exams, I see them making the same mistakes I nearly made. They waste time writing lengthy introductions when body paragraphs carry the most marks. They memorise pre-written essays that don't actually answer the question, and they panic when they see unfamiliar questions and forget their preparation. But there's a way to avoid these mistakes in exams and even better, ace these. I'm Nat and I scored a 99 ATAR after sitting the HSC. And in this video, I'm going to show you the exact structure of both papers and how to allocate your time, a systematic approach to tackle each module, practical strategies to prepare throughout Year 12, and the common mistakes that cost students marks and how to avoid them. Let's start with the most important part, understanding exactly what you're walking into on exam day. The HSC English Standard exam is split into two papers. Paper 1 runs for 1.5 hours. This covers your common module and you'll face 2 sections. Section 1 is short answers. You'll get unseen text, which could be anything from poems to news articles. The questions look simple, but there's a specific strategy to follow. The marking system is straightforward. The number of marks shows you exactly how many points to include in your answer. For a 3-mark question, include 3 separate points. For a 5-mark question, include 5 points. Most students make their first mistake right at the start. They dive straight into reading the text. Instead, read your questions first. The questions reveal exactly what to look for in the text. When questions mention themes like memory or connection, these become your focus points while reading. Section 2 is your essay. You get 45 minutes to demonstrate your understanding of how texts explore human experiences. Paper 2 takes 2 hours. You'll write 3 essays for 3 different modules. Module A focuses on language, identity, and culture. This goes beyond basic text analysis. Your task is to show how language shapes identity and influences culture. You'll explore themes like discrimination, cultural identity, and belonging. Module B is your close study of literature. This section requires you to demonstrate why your text matters. You'll need to explain its relevance today and how its structure creates meaning. Module C tests your writing abilities. The questions might ask for creative or analytical responses. The smart approach is to prepare multiple pieces of writing, some at 500 words, others at 750, and some at 1,000 words. This prepares you for questions worth different marks. One crucial point that students often overlook: each module needs its own unique approach. The same essay structure won't work across all 3 modules because each section tests different skills. Let's look at the specific strategies for each module. For Module A, language, identity, and culture, your focus must stay on perspectives. Take discrimination as an example. One text might show how language creates barriers between communities. Another might reveal how specific words shape cultural identity. Your job is to connect these ideas to real experiences. The marking criteria looks for specific elements: how language influences identity, the way culture shapes communication, links between text and society, and clear examples from your prescribed texts. For Module B, close study of literature, the game changes entirely. This module isn't about themes, it's about proving your text's worth through its construction. Take a prescribed text like A Midsummer Night's Dream. You'll need to show how the structure creates meaning, why specific language choices matter, the text's relevance to modern readers, and clear evidence from key scenes. Module C demands something completely different again. This is where your writing skills shine. The exam might ask for the following: write an imaginative, persuasive, or discursive piece, and a reflection on your creative choices. The smart move is to prepare 3 different types of responses: an imaginative, persuasive, and discursive piece that works on multiple themes, and make sure they take inspiration from your prescribed texts. An outline of a reflection that you can adjust depending on what you write in the exam is also needed. But preparation isn't just about writing practice pieces. Your preparation needs to be systematic and thorough. Creating quote banks forms the foundation of your exam success. Every quote in your collection serves multiple purposes: connecting to themes, showcasing techniques, and answering different types of questions. Module A preparation requires strategic reading of your prescribed text. Search for passages that demonstrate language shaping identity. Record each quote, then map out 3 or 4 potential applications. A single passage might address cultural identity, explore discrimination, or reveal power dynamics. Module B demands a deeper analytical approach. Your evidence must prove your text's lasting significance. Study passages that showcase the author's deliberate choices. Identify sections that maintain relevance for contemporary readers. Module C preparation transforms writing into a structured process. Build a collection of vivid descriptions, powerful metaphors, and compelling opening lines. Develop a library of sensory details ready to enhance any piece of writing. Your practice needs clear progression. Write without time constraints initially, use your notes freely. Gradually introduce pressure. First with time limits, later without reference materials. Memorizing entire essays limits your ability to adapt. Examiners recognize pre-written responses immediately. Focus instead on memorizing versatile pieces of analysis. Consider them adaptable components you can arrange according to each unique question. Effective preparation demands organized time management. Dedicate specific days to individual modules. This focused approach prevents being overwhelmed and ensures thorough coverage of all content. Now, let's talk about some practice techniques you might find helpful. Writing practice essays without a system wastes your time. Start with what I call the building blocks method. First, take your essay structure and break it down into components. Your introduction needs 3 essential elements: a clear position on the question, your text, and your key arguments. Write 5 different versions of just your introduction. Change your position each time. This teaches you to adapt to any question. Next, focus on your topic sentences. These guide your entire essay. Write multiple versions addressing different aspects of your text. For Module A, one topic sentence might focus on cultural identity. The author reveals how language shapes cultural belonging through the protagonist's struggle with their mother tongue. Another could examine power dynamics. Through deliberate language choices, the text exposes how communication barriers reinforce social hierarchies. Now for paragraph construction. Strong paragraphs follow a clear pattern: your point, your evidence, your analysis, and your link back to the question. Practice writing single paragraphs in isolation. So take one quote and analyze it in 3 different ways. This builds your flexibility. Many students ask about practice timing. Start with unlimited time. Focus on getting your ideas clear. Then move to writing with time limits, but keep your notes. Finally, practice under strict exam conditions. No notes, full-time pressure. The key to effective practice lies in feedback. After each practice essay, ask yourself, did I actually answer the question? Does each paragraph build my argument? Have I used my evidence effectively? And does my conclusion strengthen my position? Then go ahead and record your common mistakes. Maybe you regularly drift off topic in your 3rd paragraph, or you may find that your evidence needs stronger analysis. Identifying these patterns will help you improve systematically. Most importantly, practice adapting your prepared material. The exam won't ask you the exact questions you prepared for. Take a practice essay you're proud of and rewrite it to answer a completely different question. This skill matters more than memorizing perfect paragraphs. Let's look at a real example. Say you've prepared thoroughly for Module A, focusing on how language shapes identity. The exam question asks about power relationships instead. Many students would panic at this point. Here's how to handle this situation in your practice. Take your existing knowledge about language and identity. Now, view it through the lens of power. That same quote about foreign tongues in the street suddenly reveals power dynamics between established communities and newcomers. Your analysis shifts, but your evidence remains valuable. Practice with flexibility regularly. Pick a quote you know well and spend 10 minutes writing about it from 3 different angles. This trains your brain to see multiple perspectives. Another essential practice technique involves timed paragraph writing. Give yourself 12 minutes. That's your time allocation in the exam for 1 paragraph. Write the same paragraph 3 times, each with a different focus. This builds speed and adaptability. Your practice session should also include question analysis. Many students lose marks because they misread questions. Take past test questions and break them down. Identify the directive terms. What's the question really asking? If it says to what extent, you need to evaluate, not just explain. For Module B, practice linking your text construction to its meaning. Don't just write about what happens. Show how the author's choices create impact. When practicing these responses, always ask yourself, why has the author done this? And how does this affect the reader? Module C requires different practice techniques entirely. Take a piece you've written, now rewrite it from a different perspective. Change the tense, shift the narrative voice. Each variation teaches you about the impact of writing choices. You should also remember to practice your timing. Timing makes or breaks your exam performance. So let's talk about how to manage those precious minutes effectively. Paper 1 stretches across 90 minutes. And while most students immediately start writing their short answers, this approach often leads to panic in the final minutes. A better strategy is to just take 30 seconds at the start to write your time allocations directly on the exam paper. For section 1, you'll need 45 minutes total. Break this down into 5 minutes of reading time and 40 minutes of writing time. This gives you enough space to think carefully about each short answer response without rushing. Section 2 also needs 45 minutes, though this time should be divided differently. Spend 5 minutes planning your essay because this investment pays off enormously. Use 35 minutes for writing, which leaves 5 important minutes for editing at the end. Paper 2 demands even more strategic timing because you're facing 3 essays across 2 hours. Each essay deserves 40 minutes of your attention. During practice sessions, I recommend setting actual alarms on your phone rather than just watching the clock. The sound creates a Pavlovian response that helps you maintain pace during the real exam. I often hear students say they can't complete their essays in 30 minutes, but the issue rarely lies in writing speed. Instead, it comes down to planning efficiency. Those 5 minutes of planning at the start should map out your entire response, including your main arguments, key quotes, and topic sentences. This preparation prevents those painful moments of staring at blank paper while trying to remember your next point. When you're practicing your timing, focus on writing complete paragraphs rather than perfect ones. A well-structured, concise paragraph will score higher than a lengthy, unfocused one that runs over time. Your practice session should help you develop an internal clock for how long each section should take. But all this practice means nothing if you misinterpret the exam questions on the day. The most devastating mistakes in HSC English often come down to misreading questions in the heat of the moment. Let me share what happens in almost every exam. A student spots familiar words like identity or power and immediately launches into their pre-prepared response. They write 3 pages of detailed analysis, only to realize they've completely missed what the question actually asked for. The directive verb in your question changes everything. When a question asks you to assess, you need to make a judgment. If it asks you to explain, you need to show how or why something occurs. To what extent requires you to evaluate the degree or scope of something. Each of these words demands a different approach to your response. Once you start writing a response under exam pressure, you need to keep going. Many students make the mistake of second-guessing themselves halfway through and trying to start over. This wastes precious time and often leads to incomplete answers. Here's what successful students do differently. Before they write a single word, they take 30 seconds to circle or mentally note the directive verb. They identify exactly what the question demands. They consider how the prepared material fits a specific question. Only then do they begin writing. Everything we've covered today leads to one crucial point: your exam day strategy. Walking into that exam room with a clear plan changes everything. This isn't about memorizing essays or cramming last-minute quotes. It's about knowing exactly how you'll approach each section of the paper. The night before your exam, prepare your toolkit. Pack multiple pens, your student ID, and a water bottle. Lay out your clothes. These small preparations eliminate unnecessary stress on exam morning. When you sit down at your desk, take 3 deep breaths. Then, write your time allocations on the front of your exam paper. This becomes your roadmap for the next few hours. The HSC examiners increasingly write open-ended questions. They want to see how well you think, not how well you memorize. Your success depends on your ability to adapt your knowledge to any question they present. Remember, you've spent months preparing for this moment. You understand your prescribed texts, you know your quotes, you've practiced your essay structures. Trust in that preparation. The difference between a good mark and a great mark often comes down to staying calm and focused. Read every question carefully, plan your responses, use your time wisely. Most importantly, keep writing. Even if a question surprises you, your preparation has given you the tools to craft a solid response. Stay confident in your ability to adapt and think critically. This exam is your opportunity to demonstrate everything you've learned. Make the most of it. If you found this breakdown helpful, I want to share something that could transform your HSC English preparation. We have developed study software specifically for HSC English students. It includes detailed study notes like character, technique, and theme analysis, and essay plans and exemplar responses for past HSC questions. But here's what makes it different. Our AI technology analyzes your practice responses and provides specific feedback to help you improve. The software shows you where to strengthen your analysis, how to improve your structure, and whether you've actually answered the question. You will find all our study resources at Excel HSC Copilot. The link is in the bio.